Have you ever felt like something or someone is trying to get your attention? Maybe you keep seeing the same number over and over. Maybe a random stranger spoke exactly what you needed to hear. Or maybe you've been waking up at the same time every single night. What if I told you this is not a coincidence? God has been speaking to his people since the beginning of time, and the truth is, he might be trying to speak to you right now. But are you listening? Or are you ignoring the signs? In this video, I'll reveal the 5 most common ways God tries to communicate with us, straight from the Bible. By the end, you'll know exactly how to recognize his voice and respond. Now let's get started. Waking up in the middle of the night. Have you ever found yourself waking up suddenly in the middle of the night, your mind surprisingly alert, and the clock reads 3 or maybe 5 a.m.? You try to fall back asleep, but it just doesn't happen, leaving you feeling a bit restless and wondering why you're awake at such an odd hour. Instead of feeling frustrated, what if you saw this as a moment orchestrated by God, a gentle nudge, inviting you into a quiet space to be with him? During the day, life is full. There's the constant hum of responsibilities, conversations, and the endless to-do list. Our thoughts race, and it can feel like there's no room to pause. But in those quiet early hours, when the world is still and distractions fade, God may be calling you to a time of peace and communion with him. It's like he's saying, "Come away with me for a moment. Let's talk, just you and me." Jesus knew the importance of these still moments. He often rose early, seeking solitude to connect with his Father, away from the noise. If you find yourself waking up in the dead of night, why not take that time to open your heart to God? It could be as simple as whispering a prayer, or even just sitting in silence, asking him to speak. You might be surprised by the peace that comes over you. Maybe there's something on your heart that you haven't had time to think about, or worries that linger at the edges of your mind. This quiet time could be when God is gently inviting you to hand those over to him, to let go and trust him with every detail. Or, perhaps, there's a question you've been pondering, and he's ready to give you clarity. When you wake up, take a deep breath, embrace the stillness, and ask, "Lord, what would you like to say to me tonight?" God's presence is closer than we often realize, especially in those still, quiet moments when we're alone with him. And when you feel his peace surrounding you in the middle of the night, it's a reminder that he's watching over you, that he knows your heart, and that he cares enough to meet you right where you are, even at 3 a.m. So next time this happens, take it as a loving invitation to draw near, to let your spirit rest in his presence, and to listen to his voice. Feeling anxious or restless for no reason. Sometimes, out of nowhere, a wave of anxiety can wash over us, leaving us feeling unsettled and uneasy. You're not sure where it's coming from, but you can feel it. A tightness in your chest, a fluttering in your stomach, or just an overwhelming sense that something isn't right. But what if that restlessness is actually a signal, a gentle reminder that God is reaching out to you? He's promised us a peace that transcends understanding, a peace that calms our hearts even in the middle of life's storms. So when that peace seems absent, it could be a sign that something's a bit out of sync in our spiritual life. Jesus knows us so intimately, and in Matthew 11:28, he extends an invitation that's as powerful today as it was back then. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." If you're carrying anxiety that doesn't seem to have a cause, it might be God's gentle way of inviting you to come closer, to lay those worries down and let him carry them for you. Maybe you've been carrying something heavy on your heart, a worry, a fear, or a decision you've been struggling with. God may be using that feeling of restlessness to draw you back to him, reminding you that you don't have to bear it alone. Picture yourself handing over each worry, each anxious thought, and letting them go into his capable hands. Feel the weight lift as you trust that he's got you, that he's holding you, and that there's no burden too big for him to handle. Sometimes a restless heart is God's nudge, a call to reconnect and refocus on his presence. It's his loving way of saying, "Come back to me. I have peace for you, even in this." When you start feeling that familiar sense of unease, take a moment to pause and turn your heart toward him. Breathe in, let his peace fill you, and rest in the assurance that you are safe with him. God's peace is waiting for you, and he's always ready to surround you with his calming presence whenever you need it. Hearing the same message over and over. Have you ever had a certain topic or phrase just keep popping up, as if it's following you everywhere you go? Maybe it's a message you hear in a sermon, a theme that keeps coming up in conversations with friends, or something you keep stumbling upon on social media. You're going about your day, and there it is again. You might even find yourself thinking, "This can't be a coincidence." And you'd be right. Sometimes God uses repetition to capture our attention and drive a message home. When you notice a message or theme showing up repeatedly, it could be God whispering something important to your heart, a reminder that he has something he wants you to focus on. Perhaps there's a lesson he wants to teach you, a truth he wants to plant deeply in your heart, or a change he's gently prompting you to make. Rather than brushing it off, pause and ask him, "Lord, what are you trying to show me here?" Think of it as if God is putting up signposts along your path, lovingly guiding you towards something he knows you need. He's so patient with us, often repeating his messages until we're ready to receive them fully. When you feel that gentle nudge through repetition, let it be a reminder that God cares so much about you that he's willing to speak again and again, just to make sure you're listening. Take a moment to thank him for this persistent, loving guidance. Ask for his wisdom to understand the message and how it applies to your life. You might even want to pray, "Lord, I hear you. Show me what I need to see and give me the courage to act on it." Trust that he'll reveal the next steps in his timing, and let your heart rest in the assurance that God's speaking to you patiently and lovingly every step of the way. Experiencing illness as a reminder. Facing illness is never easy, and it can be a tough, isolating experience. But what if, during these challenging times, God is using your illness to gently draw you closer to him, inviting you to reflect and realign your heart? Not all sickness is from God, but he can certainly use it as a powerful way to get our attention and guide us toward a deeper connection with him. Throughout the Bible, we see Jesus performing countless healings, bringing hope and restoration to those who were suffering. And there were moments when illness was more than just physical, it was an opportunity for spiritual growth. For example, Jesus once told a man he had healed, "Stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you." In this case, the man's physical healing was also a reminder to reflect on his life and turn toward God with a renewed heart. When illness comes, it's a moment to lean into God's strength, to ask, "Lord, what are you teaching me through this season?" Sometimes, he uses our pain to slow us down, giving us the chance to examine our lives and draw closer to him. And while it's comforting to know that not every illness has a hidden purpose, there are times when God may be using this season to bring about a change in your heart or to redirect your path. Listen to those gentle promptings, whether it's a call to let go of something weighing you down, to forgive someone, or to trust him with your future. In these quiet, challenging moments, God is there, wrapping you in his love and reminding you that you're never alone. He's with you, helping you to see beyond the pain and find comfort in his presence. Let this time be a reminder that God can bring beauty even from our struggles, using every moment to draw us into a deeper, richer relationship with him. A deep, unexplainable peace. Life can throw storms our way, bringing chaos and uncertainty. In these moments, it's natural to feel fear, anxiety, or even panic. But sometimes, in the midst of it all, there's an unexpected calm, a deep, unexplainable peace that fills your heart and settles your mind. It's a peace that doesn't seem to make sense given the circumstances. When you feel this kind of peace, it's likely a sign that God is right there with you, reminding you that He's in control and that you're not facing this alone. Philippians 4:7 speaks of a peace that transcends all understanding, a peace that goes beyond logic and reason. It's a gift from God that wraps around us, comforting and reassuring us, even when everything around us feels out of control. This peace is like a gentle whisper from God, telling you that everything is going to be okay, that He's got you in His hands, and that no storm is too big for Him to calm. When this peace washes over you, take a moment to embrace it. Let it remind you that God is actively working on your behalf, even if you can't see the outcome yet. It's His way of saying, "I'm here, I've got this, you're safe with me." In those moments, it's like being held close, surrounded by a love that quiets all fear. This peace doesn't mean the challenges disappear instantly, but it does mean that, in the middle of it all, you can stand firm, knowing that God's presence is stronger than any storm. It's a reminder that He's right beside you, guiding you through whatever comes your way. When you feel this calm in the midst of chaos, let it be an anchor for your soul. God's peace is a gift that reminds us that we are never alone, that we are deeply loved, and that with Him, we can face anything. Now that you know the signs, I have to ask you, has God been speaking to you? Maybe you felt it, maybe you've seen it, but here's the real question. What are you going to do about it? Don't ignore His voice. Respond. Pray. Seek His guidance. And trust that if He's speaking to you, He has something incredible planned for your life. If you believe God is speaking to you right now, comment below, "Lord, I'm listening." And don't keep this message to yourself. Someone you know needs to hear this too. Let God use you to reach someone who has been waiting for a sign. And before you go, make sure to subscribe for more powerful messages that will strengthen your faith. May God bless you abundantly.